Welcome to the 26th episode of the Mayor's Mixtape. I'm Haley Sue Robinson, Director of Public Affairs for the City of Pueblo.
Heather Graham, City of Pueblo Mayor.
And I'd like to remind you, you can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Channel 17, wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you have topic suggestions or questions, you can always email us at mayor@pueblo.us. Mayor, before we get into the city council recap for this week, I did want to talk a little bit about something that came up over the last couple of weeks, and we decided to address it, was the ranking of Pueblo as among the top 10 most dangerous cities in the U.S. A couple weeks ago, U.S. News and World Report listed Pueblo as number 10. And then the city put out some information which refuted that, and why that might not necessarily be true. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so, there had been this picture floating around Facebook. It's where everyone gets their news, right? Mm-hmm. And it said that my city was number 10 on the most dangerous cities.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting because when you go and compare the other 9 cities, they have triple digits in homicides, right? So how could little old Pueblo, Colorado, with only 9 homicides, be on the top 10 when you have some of the cities 200 and 300 homicides? Yeah. So we did some more research kind of to figure out where all this came from, and it was from President Trump and his deployment of where he was going to be sending the National Guard to the most dangerous cities. So we pulled the list that President Trump is referencing. Yeah. And lo and behold, Pueblo, Colorado is nowhere to be found on that list. And nowhere in Colorado, actually.
That list was actually more extensive. That was a list of 30 cities, not just
30
10.
30 cities, most dangerous cities of 100,000 or more. So that fits Pueblo, 113,000 people within city limits. And Pueblo was nowhere to be found. So I think it's important that we combat the misinformation that's put out into our community, because it hurts our community. That's who it hurts. Right. And I don't know how we could be, the week before, one of the most friendliest, beautiful cities, right? Like in the top 20 or whatever, we were listed on there, and at the same time be the most dangerous.
I saw another one probably 3-4 months ago, and we were ranked 12th actually for friendliest for folks looking for a retirement community. And so I think those two things are conflicting. If you're looking to retire, you're probably not looking at a dangerous city.
Probably not. I'm not.
I'm not ready to retire. Yeah. But I'm also not looking for a dangerous city. But another thing that I found interesting, you and Chief Knoller talked about this extensively. So I did a little bit of deep dive. I know you shared with me the homicide tracker for Memphis, Tennessee. They were ranked first. But what I found interesting was Monroe, Louisiana. They were number 9 on that list ahead of us. They actually had no data.
Oh, because they don't report.
Right.
It's all self-reported.
So they had no data available for any of their crime statistics. And this article was for dangerous cities in 2025, 2026. And so, as someone who works in the communication profession, I find it frustrating when folks put out misinformation and then don't have a news source.
Right.
And then a news source puts out information.
Calls it facts.
And calls it facts. And one thing that you talked to the news about was just how damaging this is to the community. And they kind of pressed you on that and said, in what ways is it dangerous or damaging? And I thought it was interesting. One of the things you mentioned was that becomes our narrative. Yeah. And I think sometimes we forget that we also have control of our narrative. And I don't mean we as in you and I. Yeah. I mean we as Pueblo citizens. Yep. And I thought that was a really great reminder for folks to realize there are things that happen. We're not downplaying crime or what's happening in Pueblo, but we don't have to attach ourselves to a narrative that's untrue.
Right.
So
it's all in the math.
Yeah. Yes.
Someone didn't do their math right, and then Made me mad.
I know.
So
I know.
We're all about data here in
it was
the
frustrating.
mayor's office.
I think that's another thing that's interesting too. And you talk about it a lot. So does Chief Knoller about CompStat. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like and how we do report?
Yep. So CompStat is really the analytic that we use for all of our calls for service, all of our reporting, all of our incident reports. It's how we track crime. It's how we know where the hot spots in the community are. It's how we know where to deploy cameras, shot spotters, license plate readers. It's how we know where to tell the officers that they should be during the day is because of these calls for service that they're getting and the parameter that they're getting it in. So that really directs how we police in the city of Pueblo. So every week they put a very thorough report together. They send it to me, the chief, and we've been putting the numbers that we can now out into the public so that they can see how many homicides we have, how many calls for service we have, what Part 1 crimes look like, what property thefts look like, what our impact team is doing, what our DICE team is doing. And so I think that the more information that we can get out in the community to share the actual narrative of what's happening in the police department, the better. So we've been working on that, making sure we get the information out. And it's our fault if we don't get the information out. We don't tell people what a good job our police department is doing. This time last year, we had 15 homicides. As of today, we have 9. So the year before, we had, I think, 30, because we've been at like a 50% decrease, another 50% decrease. So our crime is coming down, comparatively speaking, to what it was in previous years. And I just think that we need to make sure the community knows that.
I know one thing that folks say a lot is, well, crime's down because it's not being reported, but that's why we have CompStat.
And that's how we know about calls for service.
Sure.
So calls for service are still
calls
coming in.
Calls for service are actually up.
They are up.
And they've been on a steady increase. I think if you asked our dispatchers, they would definitely agree that it's up. But it's been on a steady increase, especially I think since 2019.
Yeah, exactly.
Every year our calls for service go up, and even folks like in our fire department would tell you that calls for service are up. So regardless of whether it's crime related or emergency related, for other types of emergency, a lot of folks have this other conception that the reason crime is down is because folks aren't calling. We also have the numbers on folks who are calling. So that's simply not true either.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was important that we address that. Okay, let's get into the city council update. It was another late night on Monday.
Yep.
And there was a lot discussed. One thing in particular that came back was the half-cent sales tax ballot measure, and that was brought back by Councilor Flores. So we will see that on the ballot in November. That's correct?
Yep, and it reads the same way. It's always read.
Okay.
It's an extension for 5 additional years.
Okay, so I know a few folks have reached out and asked a little bit about that. So right now, the half-cent sales tax is renewed through 2026.
Yep.
This ballot measure would renew it beginning in 2027.
Yep.
And another thing that Councilor Flores brought up was that he's looking to bring back another proposal somewhat similar to what you had with the expanded criteria. What exactly will that look like?
From what I gather from Councilor Flores' comments, it is going to be 10%. What I propose is 15%.
Okay.
And it's not going to be 10% overall every year. It's going to be an aggregated amount, but allowing 10% of the funds to be available immediately.
Okay.
Would give about $7 million right now to be used in other ways.
And those are in the 3 criteria of the economic leakage, economic catalyst, and the placemaking.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll see that coming forward.
First reading and yeah.
Okay, great. Another topic that we saw, or an emergency ordinance that we saw rather, that passed 6-1 on Monday night, was for the HVAC system for the Pueblo Municipal Justice Center, or PMJC. And council gave direction to staff for a 15-year lease agreement rather than taking from fund balance or from council reserves. So what are the next steps in this process?
Right. So we will secure the financing.
Okay.
And start the project.
Okay.
So we know that it's going to take a while to get the units here, and it won't be ready until 2026, but at least we can start the process.
And from what I hear from our folks in Public Works, part of the reason why it was an emergency to do so now, I mean, we're at the end of the summer,
Yep.
so some folks are saying like, well, we made it through the hottest part of the year. This is to help us prepare because we don't believe that the system will last.
One more year. Yeah. So parts now, if now that the contract is ready to go, will start arriving late February, early March.
Okay.
And it's an extensive process to get
Right.
the ductwork in and get the air handlers put together in here. So
That's why we had to do it now.
yeah, it'll be ready right before the summer starts if everything is on track.
From what I heard from a couple of the work sessions and even the questions that council asked, the timeline we're looking for roughly is about April.
Yep.
So that's when it starts to get hot.
Yeah.
And when it starts to get uncomfortable.
Yeah. And there'll be a period of time where we'll have to close the building altogether.
Okay.
So court will be closed. We'll have officers working in other areas of the city depending on what the temperature is.
Okay.
So it's a pretty long process.
Okay. Well, I know that feels like a relief to a lot of folks. Our dispatchers, folks in municipal court, our IT staff, police officers. There's a lot of folks affected by PMJC and then, the general public that goes into that building each and every day. I know if I lost air conditioning in my own home or in this building, I'd be pretty uncomfortable. And
yeah, when it goes out, it's like 95, 100 degrees, and there are no air moving, so there's no open windows, so it's pretty warm.
Great. Well, we're excited that project is going to be moving. So another ballot measure. Last time we were on the podcast, Mayor, we talked about your veto for the vote for the city manager ballot measure. On Monday night, that came back a 6-1 vote, so that means it will go on the ballot in November. What does this look like, and what can
Yeah, it looks
folks
like I'm going to be
expect?
campaigning again. So
Okay.
this will be my 4th time in 2 years. It's going to be ballot measure 2C. So the community will have a chance to come out and vote whether they want to keep a strong reform of government or they want to return back to a city manager, city council form of government.
Okay. And one thing in particular that I think a lot of folks are asking questions about is what would it look like if we were to go back to a city manager?
Yeah, I don't know, because city council hasn't shared that plan with me of what that looks like. So the ordinance that they submitted to the voters says that I will be removed immediately, which would be November 5th. It says that they have to select a already city employee to be the city manager.
A current city
employee, yes. I'm not sure who that person is.
Okay.
That lucky person is.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what the budget is for that. I'm not sure how they're going to do any kind of a budget for 2026. So I have not seen any of those plans. What it would look like is I would be gone the next day. They would select somebody, and that person would be under the control of the city council, at least 4 members of the city council moving forward.
Okay. I found it interesting because my former boss, your former opponent, former Mayor Nick Gradisar, he was also there to speak against it. He was one of the proponents prior to becoming the mayor that brought this ballot issue forward 8 years ago. So I find it interesting that folks are interested in going back this way and seeing what it could look like. I know there's a lot of folks who believe this is the way forward. So, what would you say? What would you say to those folks?
I would say that the city government is going to come to a halt.
Okay.
It's going to, one of the reasons why Nick push this forward is because any kind of complex issue that ever needed to be decided on by 4 city councilors, it was just taking too long. We were moving at the speed of snails.
Sure.
You didn't have one elected official essentially making decisions, bringing ideas forward to try to make the community better. Now you're going to have 4 who, just like the former mayor said, if they have policy, they need to get 4 votes together to get it passed at a city council meeting. And that's not happening now. So I don't know what that will look like moving forward. I think that there is a lot of unknowns. I think that it, just like the previous mayor said, we're going to go back in time. I'm one of 3 strong mayors in the community. I know that we've heard city council say, well, cities are going back to city council, city manager form of government. That's just simply not true. The other 2 strong mayors, I don't think that their communities are trying to take their jobs and go back to a city manager form of government. Those other 2 communities are Colorado Springs, Mayor Yemi, and Mayor Johnson from Denver.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to that discussion?
No, just, stay tuned. We'll be putting information out. I'm sure the proponents of this ordinance will also be putting information out. And let's take it to the people.
Okay. Another thing that we have upcoming that I think is important is you've scheduled some town halls in each of the 4 districts. So District 2 is going to be Wednesday, September 3rd at 5:30 at El Centro. District 4, Thursday, September 11th at 5:30 at Rawlings Library. District 3, Tuesday, September 16th at 5:30 at Lamb Library. And then finally, District 1, Wednesday, September 24th at 5:30 at the Barkman Library. We posted that on your page yesterday, and some folks had some questions like, what are we going to talk about at the town halls, or what can folks expect?
Yeah, so I plan to just give a real brief update on things going on in the city. Yesterday when we spoke to the news, we do town halls for our quad meetings with the police department that we go out and speak.
Sure.
So we do these, but this one will be more general to all city departments. I'll take any questions, so kind of give a brief overview of what's going on in the city, and then have community members ask questions.
Okay, so you want folks to bring their questions or maybe give input of what they'd like to see or
concerns they have within their respective districts or just the city in general. So,
okay, great. And these are completely open. I know they're in each of the 4 districts, but let's say I can't make the one in my district. Can I attend a different one?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Well, that will be exciting. I think anytime we can go out into the community and talk to folks and find out what they want to see or what they're concerned about or give an update to them, they feel more connected to city leadership.
Yep.
Great. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up, Mayor?
Last weekend of the fair, so
it is.
Get out there and get your corn dogs, and
I haven't had a corn dog yet.
I had some fried pickles and nachos.
I did see that.
And it was delicious.
I think Saturday I'll be going to the Monster Trucks. So I think I'll probably check out some food and go a few places at the fair.
Yeah.
Fair food is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I love it.
We have the Fiesta Day Parade.
I'm very excited about the Fiesta Day Parade.
Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
City's number 22, so
it'll be great.
Come out and see your city council members and city staff and mayor.
Mm-hmm.
We have a fantastic float. We won first place in the State Fair Day Parade.
I think, at least in my time here at the city, we've won every year. I kind of laughed. We talked to some folks from the county, and they said, man, we really got to step up our game.
They tried a little bit. I saw they had like a chili
They had some chilies.
But, our BJ and our public works team just does a fantastic job, and nobody can beat them. So
yeah, we had
reigning champions.
Really cool woodworking and very detailed. There was a cannon, there was a bell,
Ferris
wheel, all kinds of things.
Pueblo Sun.
Yeah. And
that spun.
And then also the big tower with each of the military branches. It was just, the theme was growing the tradition, and I felt like you could really see Pueblo tradition in there. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
good job, everybody.
I'm excited for Fiesta Day. I think it'll be fun. That's one of my favorite traditions that we have in Pueblo during the state fair, and get out there and see everybody.
Yeah. Okay,
great. Just reminding you that you can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Channel 17, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. And you can send in your questions or topic suggestions to mayor@pueblo.us. And we'll see you next week.